what should I sacrifice in order to make room for my goals? That's a great question, and I've learned a lot of these lessons through failure and through pain in this regard. I think you need to sacrifice. Let's just first off define what sacrifice means. It means trading something of lesser value for that of a higher value. So once you've defined what your goals are, what your why is, what your mission, your purpose, and your value of life is, what your definition of success is, then you can really scale back and be like, okay, what do I need to trade of lesser value that's keeping me from this thing of higher value? And that's exactly the path you need to walk to be the man who's worthy of keeping those goals and achieving those goals and building upon those goals, right? So things that you might have to sacrifice, man, is sleep. Or it could be getting to bed earlier and not going out, instead getting up early to achieve your goals. So make sure you have that solitude, that time with God, that time of reflection, that time journaling, that time reminding yourself, writing down your why, and then getting after it in the heavy, intense training in the gym. You're going to have to sacrifice sometimes, like things of purpose, things of pleasure for a life of purpose. Like these things that other people might try and draw you into, like partying, alcohol, drugs, sex, things that are going to detract you off the path that won't build the man that you want to become. And I'm not going to tell you that sacrifice is easy, even though it's the right thing to do, because there's a struggle, man. Like there's something that you look at everyone else doing something and be like, yeah, you know what, man, like probably would be pretty fun if I did that too. But then if you have a look at people who are not those people, but have done their habits and are 10 years or 20 years ahead of them, you can look at their life and be like, oh, I don't want that. But that's a byproduct of what they were habitually tolerating of themselves today. So I made that decision when I was like, I don't know, 15, 16, that I just didn't want to be like everyone else, the rule at school and drinking and going out and doing all this dumb stuff. I instead wanted to dedicate my life to self-mastery, and it started for me with football and training intensely in that, and martial arts, and just wanted to be the best version of myself for myself at that time. And then it's evolved to being the best version of myself for my loved ones, and evolved to a love for powerlifting and bodybuilding and cars and other things like that, and a love for my family and my child. But yeah, sacrificing in the way of trying to become the best version of yourself, sometimes you're going to have to say no to things that are important to a lot of people but might not be important or aligned to you. An example, I've missed some birthdays of my family members, and I would say that that's something that I regret. Like I look at that at the time and I'm like, I think I'm making the right choice so I can go and train and develop myself because I want to go further. But if I instead had sat back at a time and had a tighter schedule, I would have gone to those types of events. I wouldn't have compromised anything to do with family, because if I had sat down prior to that and really like got clarity on like who I want to be, where I'm going and why, then I would have realized that at the end of all of this, I do everything that I do personal development wise is so that I can spend time with the people that I love the most, so I can bring the best version of myself to them. So it's kind of like a really hard thing to do, because to get that balance right, I mean, you're training or you're working, you're grinding in that progressive state to bring the best version of yourself to them, for them, also for yourself. But then that sometimes might take time away from them. But I think, man, what I know now is that I can partner with God in all my priorities, all my decisions, all my actions, so that I can make sure that like I have a daily system of success that puts God first, so I get the wisdom of what to do that day. So I get the wisdom of being able to execute the habits and the system of personal development, the Christ-centered personal development every single day. That therefore I don't feel like I'm going to miss out on family events or really important like milestones for like birthdays or Christmas or something like that. Really get to enjoy that time with my loved ones without having the pressure of work or financial pressure or stress of missing a training session or something like that, or going a little bit over my macros, things like that, which are habits that are going to push you on the path of personal development and push you further in the arena of athleticism and confidence in that regard. But if your definition of success is not just the gym and not just like the strength or the physique, or it's really about like being present for your kids and being the best version of yourself for them and for your wife and for your loved ones, then you've got to understand that like the gym is just the means to the ends of that. So the gym can't then define how you run your day. Like if you miss a session, you shouldn't just be like, oh, down in the dumps. No, like just realize that like you're not defined by that. It's really important to have that, yes. But if that's where you get all your value, all your character, all of like your personal development, well, you're really missing the point of what the gym was trying to teach you, is that your identity shouldn't be based on just the external success or just by showing up in this regard every single day. It's like, it's the biggest thing you get from it is overcoming what was difficult for you, and being able to have trust in what you don't see, like the faith in what you're building by doing the daily steps. Like it's building faith, guys. It's what the gym has been the entire time, is building faith and building belief in what you don't see and putting in the work today. And so I look at like, man, I'm sweating. Like this Brisbane weather is so muggy, bro. My gosh. And so I look at my life and I'm like, there's been times where I've made the wrong decision with that kind of stuff, or like I've trained at nighttime when I really should have been like with my family, or I've trained in the middle of the day when I really should be working on business. Sacrifices like that. That's things that I've been like, maybe done the wrong thing when it comes to terms of sacrificing something in order to do this. But this is also where a lot of guys get their life a little bit wrong. It's like they think their sacrifice is trading their goals and their purpose and their mission in order to just be a provider for their family. And then they wonder why their loved ones don't love them anymore, because they haven't actually been there for them. They're just a financial provider. Like they're their means to the ends, but they're not actually there present because they're working so hard on that. And it's a really unfortunate situation that I've been through personally. It's like you do everything for them and you forget who you are yourself. And so you really have to make sure you got the priority where you're looking after yourself every single day. But the sacrifice that you have to make isn't losing yourself. It's or like dying for them. It's living for them. It's living for yourself. How you do that is you sacrifice the things of lesser value, such as the vices, such as like, and we'll name some of them, guys, like going out, drinking, partying, alcohol, drugs, porn, sex that's not with your wife, or if you're a woman, with your husband, anything that's like not aligned to the will of God or where you're going at in your life. Like that's something you need to trade off, and that you need to really clearly define what success looks like for you, man. If success looks like to you doing those things, well, man, you're lost, and you need to repent and come back to God, because it's not the design that He has for your life, and no wonder why you feel like shit. Truth hurts, deal with it. But when it comes to making sacrifices like sleep, for example, when you have goals, well, you just got to sack up and sacrifice, man, because it's going to take a different level of person to have those goals and that success than where you're at now. Sometimes you do have to trade that sleep for success. And the problem is some guys are too comfortable in their current area that they want this, but they're not willing to trade the hard work and the sweat and sacrifice for it, you know? And so you have to just understand that, like, you know, in order to get ripped, you're going to have to give up some certain foods. But in the process of giving up certain foods, it's like an example of what sacrifice really is. You think you're giving up something that you really love, but you learn how to eat healthy. You learn how to, you know, have a steak is better for you than having that KFC burger. You have more protein, you feel more full, you feel better about yourself. Like you carry yourself throughout the day with a lot more energy, not as fatigued, not as lethargic. So you realize, like, what you thought was great over here with the tasty food, the instant gratification here, I didn't have to cook it, I didn't have to prep it, it was fast, easy. Got rid of that, and you're like, oh, going down this path now, I have to track my macros for a period of time until I get in shape. Well, yeah, man, but part of trading that for this path here is that you get to be healthy. You get to extend your life. You get to have more confidence, more energy. Therefore, you get more success in your relationship, in your financial areas, in your fitness, in your health. Like the true wealth of life, man, is these relationships and in your health. That's the wealth, guys. And the good thing about once you go through that fat loss transformation is you actually, from tracking diligently, is you gain the skills of what food does what to you. And therefore, you can go into a maintenance phase where you still remain lean, but you can start eating the different foods you want as well, because your body's so much more responsive to, your body's so much more, how do I say it? Like it's willing to just like burn food for fuel rather than just like converting it to stored energy called fat when you're in that more of that, you know, the 20%, 15% plus body fat range there. When you're lean, your body's like a furnace, treating that food like it's just fuel coming in and out. I'm not saying just to go, when you get lean, guys, start eating junk food. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you can then take that balanced approach later on. But if you were just at the starting line here, never willing to make that sacrifice for, you know, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever the case may be for you, depending on where your starting point is at in that fat loss transformation, then you would have never seen how you make that sacrifice, that trade is a down payment to live the next, you know, like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of life in shape. You could have been confident, full of belief, full of energy, you know, full of self-respect and integrity and perseverance and patience. Like, and you get to be, you know, ripped and, you know, like have your cake and eat it too, you know. So that's where you have to choose like the sacrifice is and understand long term where that sacrifice is going to get you. It makes a lot more sense to then make that trade. That's it's like a long-term investment, man. It's never instant gratification. It's never like some short fix for a long-term solution. It's the same thing. Like, you have to look at it like business too. It's like you make decisions now that are going to have consequences in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Like, you have to really put some thought behind what you're doing and not listen to the voices of society, but really just sit alone with yourself and with God and be like, all right, what's the plan? And then figure it out for as long as it takes. Take some imperfect action, yes, but like always base your decision making around what God would think you should do, like around morality, around integrity. And if you do that, man, like then you're gonna automatically make long-term difficult decisions, but are gonna provide so much more value in the long term because your name's attached to it, and it has so much more value when you do things the right way rather than the easy way. And when you get to that point where you've made that hard decision, and like I'm saying, the definition of the right way and the easy way, when you make the choice the right way, when you get to the end state goal, you realize that the easy way was not the easy way. You realize that the right way was the easy way, even though it seemed harder at the time. It took like that sacrifice, that sweat, that investment, that perseverance, not like showing up when you don't see the result, and just having so much discouragement and having to persevere and overcome that, having failure and setback and everything else. You look back at the person who's still where they're at, still complaining, still wondering what if in their life, and you look back and see that could have been you had you not taken action. You know how painful it is to sit there and just wonder and be a spectator of life and not be happy with where you're at and not be satisfied in your relationship or your purpose in life, and you're just a drifter, man, or a loser, like you're not happy with self. Way easier to just do the work and to get in shape and to make the investments long term in your business and your education and your relationships, everything else. So you gotta acknowledge what needs to go in your life, make a kill list for that, eliminate it, clarify your why, clarify where you want to go, clarify what you stand for, and then make those decisions based on integrity, character, in alignment to that definition of success that's defined by you and by God. And then if you do that, guys, you'll be able to know what to sacrifice, and you'll be able to make the decisions yourself, not counting on a coach, a motivational speaker, some other person's opinion, your parents, your friends, whatever. You can develop that strong relationship with yourself and with God. And when you have that, guys, it doesn't matter what resource or circumstance, like whatever resource gets taken away from you, or whatever life circumstance happens, you can always count upon that internal voice of God to talk to and to get that wisdom from. You can count on yourself and be able to back yourself no matter what situation is, because it's a trained ability of discipline and humbling yourself before God. It's a trained ability of following through on your word. It's a trained ability. Like, these are abilities and skills that, like, it's education that can't be taken from you. So you can always build back up no matter how many L's you take, or no matter what life hands you. You can always build that back because you've built on the foundation of Christ, built on that foundation on top of that of the strength of being the right man you can be for your loved ones. That's how you do it, man. That's how you choose what to sacrifice. So yeah, sack up and sacrifice, guys. It's a beautiful life, and it's yours to live. So go and get it. Thanks for watching.